Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to make a wavy line gravity ice dye. And I'm going to try out a couple of the new Muck dyes that Dharma released. I'm going to start by drawing a wavy line on the shirt. And this one went from one shoulder of the shirt to the opposite corner of the hem of the shirt. I didn't like the shape of the first line, so I drew a second one. Now I'm going to accordion fold this line, and I'm going to tie it with some sinew. When I go to tie the sinew on this shirt, I'm going to wrap the sinew around a couple of times, and then because this line is pretty long, when I start to pull my sinew, I'm going to press down on my line with my other hand. That is hopefully going to keep this line from buckling. Otherwise, whenever I pull really tightly on the sinew, it's going to cause these folds to kind of cave in on themselves and not have still a straight flat line. So as I'm pulling with one hand, I'm pushing down on the table on this line with the other hand. I'm going to use two colors, Denim Borealis and Tealy Dan, which are 2024 fall muck dye colors, or they may be calling them summer muck dye colors. They're no longer available, so if you didn't happen to get these when they were offered, they're gone, and they're one of a kind. They don't remake them. They're a muck dye, so I guess kind of an accidental dye. The shirt's been sitting for a couple of days, so it's completely dry. And before I apply the dye, I want it to be really damp. So I took my soda ash solution bucket outside, kind of stuck the shirt in there, moved it around a little bit, and then wrung it out by hand. So I don't care if it's dripping wet with soda ash. I actually think that'll help the dye flow a little bit better. So for my setup for this shirt, I have two plastic sawhorses and a couple of pieces of vinyl guttering between the sawhorses. I'm going to place the line that I accordion folded right down the middle of those two pieces of vinyl guttering. Then I'm going to adjust my shirt a little bit so that it's hanging nicely over the edge of the guttering. I'm going to do stripes of the Tealy Dan and the Denim Borealis on the shirt. I'm going to start with the Tealy Dan, and I'm going to end up placing one line of Tealy Dan going on either side of the sinew line. Then I'm going to leave a space to place the Denim Borealis and place another line of Tealy Dan on the shirt. When I'm adding the dye, I'm adding quite a bit of dye at a time because I'm going to come back and add ice, and as long as I still have some dye left on the shirt, I can continue adding ice to the top to flush some of that dye down through the parts of the shirt that are hanging below. Once I have the Tealy Dan on the shirt, I'm going to add the Denim Borealis in the blank spaces. And I'm going to add two lines of Denim Borealis to the shirt. Now I'm going to add an additional sprinkle of dry soda ash over the top of the dye. I know I've already soaked the shirt in soda ash solution, then I actually dipped the shirt in soda ash solution, but I'm going to add quite a bit of ice to the top of this shirt, so I want to make sure I don't rinse out my soda ash, because the dye needs the raised pH from the soda ash to properly bond with the fabric. Now I'm going to place one pretty large chunk of ice on top of the dye on the shirt. This I made in a food prep container. Then I'm just going to allow the ice to melt and the dye to travel down the shirt. After the first layer of ice melted, I came back and I added a second layer of ice. And I had quite a bit of undissolved dye left on the shirt to go ahead and flow down the shirt. Then after the second layer of ice melted, it was starting to get dark. So I took the shirt and placed it inside of a long plastic container that had a rack down in the bottom. I had just one small piece of ice remaining on top. I placed the lid on top of the container and I left it outside. I let the shirt process for about 36 to 48 hours before I began rinsing it. Then to rinse the shirt, I took it to my utility sink and I started rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. As you can see, the dye went really well all the way out to the outer edges of the shirt. And that's the intended goal for a gravity dye. So the desired effect or desired outcome of a gravity dye for me is to place the dye on top of the shirt, add the ice, and allow the dye to get wicked down through the shirt or pulled down through the shirt. That's going to allow some of the color splits to come out and just give a really cool dye flow effect on the shirt. So normally whenever I do these gravity dyes, I add plenty of dye to the top of the shirt and then just continue adding ice until the dye travels all the way down to the outer edges of the shirt. You can go back and add more dye if you didn't happen to add enough dye in the beginning. Okay, so after I've rinsed it really well in cold water, I'm going to untie the shirt and warm the water up to hot and continue rinsing the shirt in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Instead of rinsing for a long time, I'm going to go ahead and soak this shirt. So I'm going to place some really hot water in my utility sink, add some Blue Dawn dish soap to the water, place the shirt inside, and just allow it to soak. When the water cools off, I'll change it out and I'll continue that soaking process until my water is remaining almost clear. Then I'm going to put the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine and I'm going to wash it on a hot water cycle. Okay, so at this point I've washed, dried, and ironed the shirt and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think about the shirt? And about the colors? So I think it looks really cool. I love the shirt and I love the colors. I do think that the Denim Borealis pretty much overtook the Tealy Dan color though. I think the Denim Borealis, it reminds me a lot of Dharma's Brilliant Blue. It's just a really bright color and it has kind of some purplish splits to it. The Tealy Dan is real pretty too, and it's the one, you can see it in the middle the best. It's got the darker kind of hunter green color on it, which is splitting out, and you see it again up on the shoulder of the shirt. So this was my first time using either one of these colors. I made color swatches from them, but the color swatches weren't actually finished when I went ahead and put the dye on this shirt. So I didn't quite know what to expect, but I'm really happy with the colors. I think they're really pretty. I don't see a huge color difference on this shirt simply because I really think that the Denim Borealis just pretty much took over most of this shirt. Thankfully, it's a pretty color and I think it looks nice on this shirt. But next time I want to use the Tealy Dan with either something else or on a shirt where I can see it by itself a little bit better. As far as the design goes, my definition line isn't totally white except like right down at the very corner and right up at the very top. That middle portion, it is shaded with some blue color, and like I mentioned when I was tying the shirt, it's a little more difficult to get a perfect white line when the line is as long as this one was. But I do have a definition line and I think it looks cool. I also really like the dye flow on this shirt. I like the way the color splits kind of stretch away or flow away from that main definition line. I think that looks really interesting and really fun too. In addition, I got great color saturation on this shirt. Remember, I dunked it in my soda ash solution and then I wrung it out by hand, but not a whole lot. So it was really pretty damp when I went ahead and applied the dye. And I think it made it a lot easier to get that dye all the way to the outer edges of the shirt. And then because I did go ahead and process it as long as I did, my blues are nice and vibrant. So overall, I really like the shirt. I think it's really pretty, but what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed watching the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.